How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be working on the Yamaha sitting over here. It needs a new rear tire, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you not how you should do it, but how I do it. And as I said before, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. This tire has been on here for about 25 to 2,700 miles, somewhere in there. Yeah, I know it's got the side lug still. I ended up riding a lot of road and trails in between, and it's getting noisy, and it still works pretty good in the soft stuff because it sinks down and grabs with those, but overall it's due for replacement. This tire is a Kenda Equilibrium, so I'm going with a Continental Twin Duro. It's a TKC 80. Still pretty aggressive, but definitely not as trail oriented as the Kenda. But I've had these on my bikes before and loved them. They last a long time. That one has less than 3,000 miles. These on my past bikes have easily gotten over 5, 6, 7. I had one on my 650 and I actually put 8,000 miles on it and it was still working okay. So my front tire is already a TKC 80. It's been on there about a year and it's holding up well. So now we're going to put this bad boy on the back. And so I laid out some of the tools we'll need. You can do this with stuff that you can carry on your bike. The toolkit gives you pretty much everything you need to get the tire off, and then you just need some tire levers. Can't say it right. I use just the cheapo Motion Pro shorty levers. For these softer, high side dual sport tires, they work just fine. And then just basic hand tools for whatever bike you have. A good valve stem tool is nice, and also I like a really good low pressure tire pressure gauge. I made this one just because it works better. The car gauges are meant to go up to like 60, 80 to 100 pounds, whereas I keep my pressures pretty low, so that really helps you see it. I'm just using my little Tack Life air compressor that you saw the review video on that one. I'll put the link down in the description if you want to watch it, but my actual shop air compressor has died. So normally that's what I would use, but this will work just fine. So I always break the axle nut loose before I get the rear off the ground, just so it doesn't wobble around, because sometimes these are pretty tight. So we got that broke loose. And then to lift the rear up, if I'm in my shop, I just grab a big hunk of wood or the jack or something and just give it a little push and slide whatever you have just under there to hold it. It only needs to be up enough to spin it so you can pull the rear tire out. Try to keep all your spacers and your tensioner parts in the same order that you took them out in. It makes it go together a lot easier. You can even stick them right back on the axle, because there are little bearing spacers. And some bikes, every bike's different, but some of them are the same. Some of them require a different one on each side. So I like to at least keep them separate on the different side of the bike as you're working on it. I've switched this bike over to a Master Link style chain from the continuous chain that came on it from the factory. But I still don't really take it apart just to do the rear tire, because it's just less work and more pieces to lose, especially if you're out in the woods. So I just push the tire forward once the axle's out and slide the chain off the sprocket. And once you have everything out of the way, disc brakes are real nice because you don't have to do anything, as opposed to a drum with a cable or a rod. So just keep a hold of these spacers, slide it out, and pull the core on your tube. Don't lose this. I'm going to set it up here by the camera. You don't want it to get dirty either. I do this with the sprocket down because you're not going to bend the sprocket, whereas if you really get reefing on the rim, you could end up bending your brake disc. I also have a piece of cardboard down, or you can throw a towel down. Use your body weight and break the bead. It's not that hard, but it's been on there a while. So you can see I got it loose. Don't jump on it. You don't want to bend your rim, but get it most of the way. I don't run rim locks. I probably should, especially with the lower pressure, but it is just a 250, so whatever. So if you have a rim lock, that needs to come off now. I plan on reusing this tube. It's not that old and there's nothing wrong with it. So that means I need to be a little more careful taking this off. So I use my knees to push it down, get the bead of the tire down into that groove. Then come up here and carefully stick your first lever in without pinching that tube. And I'll probably scratch my rim, but it's okay. Once you start getting around, the first couple bites are the toughest, I think. Only push your lever in as far as it needs to go to just hook that tire. Because if you go and slide it in real far, there's a much higher chance that you'll pinch the tube. And we don't want that. Okay. We got one side. So we got one side off. Now we're gonna flip it over. It's gonna be easier now because I don't know why, it just is. Guessing because the other side's looser. So just take little bites. There. Easy peasy. Alright, so now we got the rim completely inside the tire. We're gonna pull the tube out and carefully remove it without like pulling on it too hard, because like I said, I am gonna reuse it. So if you just go around and let the rim drop down, it gives you space to pull it out without scraping it in case you made any burrs on that rim. So you can see how easily it's just falling out. And we're gonna do the same process putting it back in. So, tube is out. So the rim is on the inside. We're just gonna pull it to the side like this and pop it out. Boom. Sad tire. It was good. Ooh, it's really thin in the middle there. Surprised I never got a flat. No flats, almost 3,000 miles. A lot of road, but also a lot of rough trails. Ready to reinstall the new tire. Most tires, not all, most have a direction. So I don't know if you can see that. It says rear. So make sure you have it going the right way. Best way to do that is just to hold the rim, put the sprocket on the right side, and then think about which way you're going. So we're going forward, so it's gonna go this way. So just like that. To start this, I kind of just spread the rim and try to force the tire down in there. Like that, so it's in on both sides. Lube is good, but we don't always have something out in the woods. But I might end up going to grab some here. You can use your levers to help you from either side. We got the rim started, and now we're gonna go around. We're working on the lower bead right now, so just be careful not to scratch your rim. The tube isn't in yet, so we're not worried about that. And there we go. So now you can see we got the entire rim inside the tire. Got this space, so now we're gonna go and put our tube back in just like we did the first time. Make sure it's all clean, especially if you set it on your garage floor. You don't want any like metal shavings or dirt, stones or anything in there. Make sure your direction's right. And then we're just going to feed it in here. Start it in the hole, and then I just put the nut on loosely so it can't fall off completely. And to get the last little bit, I usually just lay it down, and you can kind of spread the sides of the rim. Use your big old foot, get it up there, and just try to be as gentle as you can without scratching it over everything. And boom, there we go. Set it down like this and make sure you don't have any twists. Wrinkles and stuff, like I said, aren't gonna matter. You just wanna make sure it's not twisted all the way over on itself, because then you're gonna have problems when you pump it up. Now comes the fun part, putting it all back together. Like I said, lubricant is good. Spray some on the bead. We're gonna try without because I still haven't gone inside because I'm lazy. We want to avoid pinching the tube at all costs now. So start on whatever side naturally is down in the bead already. I use my knees and my hands, and you're gonna work around. You can almost get some tires on, oops, without any tools. Just use your knees and your hand. So we got this one quite a ways on there. I pretty much use the hooky end there for for most of this. The smooth end is nice because you can sneak it in there without scratching your rim, but I find it often just as we get around, it'll get easier, and then sometimes that last little push is a little tough. Almost on. And then that last little bit should just pop on like that. The key to it is keeping the bead in the bump of the rim. That gives you that extra space. Flip it over, repeat. Now I know you like trail guys and motocross guys. You can probably do this in 3 minutes. And it's taken me 10 or 20, but it's okay. We all work at a different pace. There we go. Boom. Done. There it is. I'm going to make sure my valve stem can pull all the way up. Drop your valve core in. Get your stem tool. Snug it up. Now we're just going to put a couple pounds of air in it, and then I like to bounce it around a little bit and make sure the tube is kind of settled in there right, and the tire is popping out on the beads where it should be. This is a really neat little air compressor. You can plug it right in your power port, and you know, it runs off 12 volt. I got a review video of this on my other channel. I'll add that to the description, and also I'll try to put that on this channel. Tack Life makes some pretty cool little products. Now I kind of like to give it a little bounce and make sure the bead of the tire is up where it should be. Putting it all back together is just a repeat of the previous disassembly. Now's a good time to check your wheel bearings and make sure everything's clean. Okay, it's all back together. The axle's in, chain's on, brakes are in. Check your spacers. I like to take a rubber hammer and make sure everything's pushed forward. The way I do this, like I said, it might not be how you like to do it, but if you do it this way, if your chain tension was correct before, it will be the same now, because all we did was pop the chain off the sprocket. We didn't move the adjusters. It's a good idea to make sure the adjuster nuts are tight. If they stay put, and if you're tight, I like to get it snugged up a little bit, and then make sure the axle's pushed up against the chain adjusters. Then it's going to be exactly where it was. So I'd still check it and make sure it's good. So torque your axle to whatever your book says, and make sure everything's good. While it's jacked up like this is a good time to give it a lube. I usually make my son spin the tire for me. There it is, all done. It's gonna take some getting used to. It's a lot smaller, it's shorter, and not as wide as my old tire, so I have to see how the gearing is. I have some different sprockets because it's gonna have a lot less overall diameter. It should be a little more peppy. These little bikes like small tires, and that one was kind of a big, fat, heavy tire, so we'll see how it rolls. But I hope that helped. And once again, it's not the only way to do it, it's just how I do it, and it's worked for me over the years. So we're gonna get suited up and take her out on a test drive. It's always important to wear your safety gear. So thanks for watching, and hopefully have some riding videos. If you're into motorcycles, let me know what you ride and what you like to see or what you want to see down in the comments below. So thanks for watching, and catch you next time.